Isang magandang araw tungo sa maunlad na pagkatuto. You are currently watching a course discussion on pahinumero.com, ang educational website na dinisenyo para sa mag-aaral na Pilipino. Dito sa Pahinumero, sumisibol ang pagkatuto.
Sa videong ito, we will learn from succeeding examples on how to represent piecewise functions in real-life situations. And we are going to explain everything in details. Kung ating babalikan ang nauna nating talakayan, a piecewise function is a function that is defined on a sequence of intervals. It is a function defined by a multiple subfunctions that each subfunction applying to a certain interval of the main function's domain, which is the subdomain. Ating palalawakin ito ng lubos sa talakayang ito sa pamamagitan ng mga halimbawa. Tayo rin naman ay mayroong learning objectives na sa pagtatapos ng pag-aaral na ito, ang mga bata are expected to represent and solve real-life problems using piecewise functions. Ayon din naman kay George B. Thomas, 2010, piecewise functions allows us humans to break down complex functions into simpler parts, making it more manageable. Sa pagpapatuloy at pagpapatibay ng definisyon, this is a function that combines pieces of different equations that each piece is for different domain or set of x values. Ito ay isang halimbawa ng piecewise function. Base sa ating obserbasyon sa function na ito, mayroon siyang tatlong subfunctions. Ang una na riyan ay ang f of x is equal to x squared minus 9 if x is 2. The second subfunction is f of x is equal to square root of x plus 7 if x is greater than or equal to 2 but less than 10. At ang huli, f of x is equal to x plus 4 if x is greater than or equal to 10. As you can see in the given function, it consists of three equations, which each equation applied certain interval over a specific domain. Ito lamang ay ilang basic concepts na dapat nating tandaan at unawain to represent a piecewise function. Sa pagkatawan ng real-life situations using function, may 4 na hakbang tayong dapat sundin. Una, what is asked? Basically, all you have to do sa step na ito is to determine what the problem requires you to do. Pangalawa, ang what is given. Dito naman ay tutukuyin lang ang datos na binigay ng problem. Pangatlo, what operation to be used. Aalamin kung ano ang operation, ito ba ay addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division na dapat gamitin batay sa konteksto ng problem. At ang huli, ang pagsulat na ng number sentence, kung saan dito na irerepresenta ang problem gamit ang function notation. Mukhang malinaw na naman sa atin ang mahakbang na ito. Kaya atin ang simulan ang pagtalakay pa ng iba pang halimbawa ng piecewise function. Ito ay ang part 1 o easy problem. A user charged 300 pesos monthly for a particular mobile plan which includes 100 free text messages. Messages in excess of 100 are charged 1 peso each. Represent the amount of a consumer pays each month as a function of m of the number of messages m sent in a month. Lagi nating tandaan na dapat nauunawaan natin ang given situation. Unang hakbang ang what is asked. Determine what the problem requires you to do. Sinabi ng problem, represent the amount of a consumer pays each month as a function of M of the number of messages M sent in a month. Next natin, ang what is given. First condition, ang isang Pinoy daw ay sinisingil ng magkano? 300 pesos monthly for a particular mobile plan. Kung saan ang plan na ito already includes 100 free text messages or less kung hindi man niya magagamit lahat ng ito. Second condition, 300 pesos monthly ulit for a particular mobile plan, pero ang condition this time, kapag lumagpas ng 100 messages, the next message will be charged 1 peso each. Third step, what operation to be used? Nandito ang addition or subtraction, considering the given conditions. Sa pagsulat naman ng number sentence, let us have now the T of M, which si T of M daw ay the amount of a consumer pays each month, and M is the number of messages sent in a month as given in the problem. Sa unang part ng ating problem or yung first condition, sinabi a user charged 300 pesos monthly for a particular mobile plan which includes 100 free text messages. Pagkakaroon tayo dito ng 300 kung saan this is the amount paid of consumer if he or she uses 100 free text messages or less. If the consumer uses 100 free text messages or less, ire-representa natin siya having the interval M is greater than 0 but less than or equal to 100. Next statement or second condition, messages in excess of 100 are charged 1 peso each. Pagkakaroon naman tayo dito ng 300 plus quantity of M minus 100. Itong M minus 100 are the messages in excess of 100. Kasi halimbawa, kung ang isang Pinoy ay gumamit ng 110 messages, ayan ay 110 minus 100, it is equal to 10. Bali, 300 plus 10 is 310, which will be the amount na kailangang bayaran ng consumer if they used 110 messages. Ang interval naman nito is M is greater than 100. Basically, this is the representation of piecewise function based on a real-life situation. Dumako naman tayo sa ating next part, which will be the average level. Ang ating given situation, the cost of hiring a catering service to serve food for a party is 150 pesos per head for 20 persons or less. 130 pesos per head for 21 to 50 persons, and 110 pesos per head for 51 to 100 persons. For more than 100 persons, the cost is at 100 pesos per head. Represent the total cost as a piecewise function on the number of attendees of the party. What is asked is to represent the total cost as a piecewise function on the number of attendees of the party. Second step, what is given? Kung ating iisa-isahin ang cost of hiring a catering service to serve food for a party, ang first condition natin is 150 pesos per head for 20 persons or less. Second condition is 130 pesos per head for 21 to 50 persons. Third condition is 110 pesos per head for 51 to 100 person. And last condition is 100 pesos per head if it is more than 100 persons. The operation to be used here is multiplication. And to write the number sentence, gamitin natin ang C of H. That is the cost of hiring a catering service to serve food for a party. at ang H ay bilang ng attendees in the party. Isa-isahin ulit natin ang statement. Una, sinabi the cost, C, ilagay natin 150 times the number of attendees or yung H, and to have the interval, sinabi for 20 persons or less. Ayan ay H is greater than 0 but less than or equal to 20. Next statement, 130 per head for 21 to 50 persons. Ito ay 130 times H ulit, which represents the number of attendees for the interval 21 to 50 person. This is H is greater than or equal to 21 but less than or equal to 50. Sunod naman, 110 per head for 51 to 100 person. 110 times the number of attendees for 51 to 100 persons. At ngayon, para sa interval, magkakaroon tayo ng H is greater than or equal to 51 but less than or equal to 100. Huli, the cost is 100 pesos per head, which will be 100 times number of attendees, and for the interval, ayan ay H is greater than 100. At ito na ang ating magiging final answer. Lagi lang nating tatandaan na unawain ang problem at i-consider ang bawat statement nito. And to our last statement, ang ating part 3, you have a summer job that pays time and half for overtime. That is, if you work more than 40 hours per week, your hourly wage for extra hour is 1.5 times your normal hourly wage of 30 pesos. Write a piecewise function that gives your weekly pay in terms of number of hours you work. And how much will you get paid if you work for 50 hours? Sa ating what is asked, there are two things that the problem requires us to do. Ito yung ating A and B. Yan, ilagay natin dito. Next, what is given? Our first condition, considering that the summer job pays 30 pesos for normal hourly wage if you work 40 hours per week. Second condition is 30 pesos for normal hourly wage if you work more than 40 hours per week. Extra hour is 1.5 times your normal hourly wage of 30 pesos. Ang ating mathematical operation na ating gagamitin is addition, subtraction, and division. And to write our number sentence, ating i-represent ito bilang P of H. That is the weekly payment of the summer job, and H is the number of hours in a week. Sinabi sa example, bilang ikaw daw ay binabayaran ng 30 pesos for normal hourly wage, magkakaroon tayo ng 30 times the number of hours you work, and then the interval will have H is greater than 0 but less than or equal to 40. Sa kasunod na statement, if you're going to work more than 40 hours per week, you are going to have 1,200 plus 45 times the quantity of H minus 40. Nakuha natin ang 1,200 by multiplying 30 times 40, and that is equal to 1,200. Ang 45 naman is by multiplying 30 times 1.5. It will give us 45. For the interval, H is greater than 40. Bali, ito na ang sagot ng ating letter A. Ngayon naman ay sagutan natin ang tanong sa letter B. How much will you get paid if you work for 50 hours? Since the number of hours is 50, that is H is greater than 40. Pwede natin gamitin ito. 1,200 plus 45 times quantity of 50 minus 40. Substitute lang natin yung 50 sa H. And by performing the given equation, 50 minus 40 is 10. Bring down lang, yung equation natin ay 1,200 plus 45 times 10. By multiplying 45 and 10 is 450. And by adding them sa ating 1,200, ang final answer na natin ngayon for letter B is 1,650. Sa pagtatapos ng ating discussion, ating itabi ang key point na ito at laging pakakatandaan. A piecewise function is a mathematical function defined by different expressions or formulas on different interval of its domain. Each interval is called a piece of the function, and the expression or formula that defines the function on that piece is called a piecewise defined function. Thank you for listening. Once again, this is presented by 2 by Martin Lawrence B.
Isang malugod na pagbati at natapos na natin talakayin ng aralin. You can use the reading materials posted below para ma-review ang ating lesson. And for your practice drills, hinihimo ka namin sagutan ang activity na matatagpuan din mismo sa ibaba nitong video. Hasain ang iyong kakayahan, pagyamanin ang iyong natutunan. Again, this is Martin Lawrence B. 2 Muli tayo makita-kita sa susunod na course discussion. Dito sa pahinumero, sumisibol ang pagkatuto.